Good morning to folks on the West Coast. Good afternoon to everyone on the East Coast or in between. On today's Mastermind, as facilitators, you have myself, Dave Savage. You have Todd Bookspan. Hey, Todd, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome this morning. Glad to be here, everyone. Hope everyone's looking forward to closing out a great week.
Yeah, we're fired up. And then we have Michele Spain, although we're not sure if her mic is working. Michele, are you here yet?
I'm here.
Oh, awesome. Good to have you. Thanks for making time, and thanks for joining us on the leadership side of the call.
My pleasure. Sorry for missing last week.
Oh, no problem. Sorry to hear about the challenge you had with the team member, and I hope things are going better. So folks, every Tuesday or every Friday at 9 o'clock we do this. We actually had a technical challenge last week. GoToMeeting didn't work, so you didn't miss it, Michele. Our GoToMeeting platform, really, I mean, that's something that happens once every 3 years, so it's very, very, very unusual. But nevertheless, we did have that challenge last week. We're here to answer questions that you might have as you're going through Insane Productivity. We're here to have a conversation as mortgage professionals around it. I am going to push a survey poll right now. Just want to know where everybody is at on the program right now. So what module are you on? The more of you that vote, the better. The faster that everybody votes, the better. So far, it looks like it's almost equal, although only 50% of you have voted. So for those of you that are holding out on the vote, please just give us a vote so we know where you're at. So hey, Todd, can you see those results?
You know, I'm seeing those results. Everyone's pretty much evenly split. Ironically, though, half the people are going through it again, and you know that's what I love about it. I kind of feel like that's the power of this call, and I think that should be sort of the beacon of light for the rest of you who are going through this for the first time, regardless of whether you're at the beginning or at the end. The fact that almost half now, just under half of the people here are back, and of course, then you could say, well, gosh, maybe it's just because, they're slow learners. But, I know the names and I know the people who are back, and, they're all a bunch of superstars. So, I love seeing that piece. And, it's funny, Dave and I were spending a couple minutes before this call sort of talking about, where to launch off today. And, it's funny because I was out of town last Friday, so I wasn't able to be on the call. That didn't actually happen. And I thought, all right, well, Dave's going to tell me whatever excitement from last call you guys were all excited to head into. So, I'm certainly hoping either Michele has a great idea to start with, or maybe we'll just start calling on people and get some feedback. I still believe when I look back at 2 calls ago, the last one that I was on, I think we really picked up steam once we started getting questions from you guys. All of a sudden, once we got one great question, it just seemed like the questions piled on from there. And so I'm looking for that. What do you guys think, Dave and Michele?
Yeah, I like it. We do have a couple questions from previous weeks, so I do think we should start with that. Also, folks, you can post questions in a couple different spots in the GoToMeeting control panel. You can post a question. Also, you can raise your hand, and we can unmute you and bring you into the conversation. And if no one raises their hand, trust me, we will call on different people throughout the call and ask you to share what you're focused on right now, any wins that you had going through Insane Productivity, or any questions that you have. So again, raise your hand, ask a question. But Todd, why don't we start things off getting into this question? I'm showing it on my screen right now from Amanda Champion. By the way, Amanda, I thought I had a cool name, Dave Savage. Amanda Champion's pretty cool. Congrats on an awesome name. Michele, we started talking about this a few weeks ago. It was like in the last 5 minutes. Do you mind answering Amanda Champion's question here? And then Amanda, if you're on this call, raise your hand. Oh, Amanda's on the call. Amanda, raise your hand because we would love to make sure we really crush this question for you. So be ready for me to unmute you and bring you into the conversation. Michele, you ready to rock it out a little bit?
I am. So just in case anybody's not reading it, I'm just going to do a recap. So how you take the leap of removing the auto reply email, changing the voicemail to say I'm only available during these hours. And I'm only giggling, Amanda, because I asked the exact same question to my coach and said, yeah, nobody's going to wait for me. And I think it is, for me, I just had to do it. And I had to trust that people that are smarter than me, that are more productive than me, that they are not losing their business, and that I had to be, again, last year it was always about being in demand instead of on demand. I love that saying. I just have it, burned into my brain. And it was hard for me. But when I did it, you're going to have those few agents that still say, well, I need somebody to answer right this second. And my response to them is, I absolutely want to respond to you right this second, but don't you want 100% of my attention? Otherwise, I'm going to either be on my horse or, distracted with other, multitasking. And those agents that were even a little bit worried about this when I put my out of office on, they actually are much better now. They're very happy. They believe that their clients are getting better service because I'm not distracted. They get me when I can give them 100% devotion instead of, trying to log onto my computer while I'm eating dinner. So that to me was incredible.
So Amanda, I am going to unmute you, by the way. And Amanda, does that help? And anything you want to kind of add to the challenges that you're having, or do you have some new challenges since the last time you posted this?
That's such a funny question today. First, yes, that does help. So thank you, Michele. And I love the be in demand, not on demand. I was scribbling that on my notepad too. Not the first time I've heard it, but it's just a great reminder, Yeah, so anyway, I have not taken the leap yet to change that. I have it on my to-do list to create the email and cell phone replies. I have not done it yet, even though I feel better about it than I did then. I still am just so afraid of it, I guess, but I will take that leap and I will do it. My new challenge is my assistant just suddenly resigned this week. So grown, I'm sure everybody's gone through that before, but this was my first assistant and my first time having her just run off to the competitor. So I'm trying to figure out how this Darren Hardy, Insane Productivity, all this stuff feeds into things. Can't wait to get Mortgage Coach. I think we're going to have that in about a week. But that would save me so much time, especially right now when time is of the essence,
Dave, can I
So that's
answer
no
something
fun to
real
have
quick?
someone quit. Yeah, go ahead,
Jump
Michele.
on it.
I just wanted to say that, first of all, I don't want to take credit for the be in demand and not on demand. That was Jen from last year, that she probably told me 100 times, and I finally heard it like probably the 101st time. So thank you, Jen. But for somebody who's had people resign on them, I feel your pain right now. And for me, and Todd, you can circle back on this, I can tell you, if you let your referral partners and everybody, for me, I would let them know, hey, I just, my assistant just, moved on to bigger and better things. I'm restructuring a little bit, so I'm going to have a little bit lag time. They appreciated that. I didn't try to hide it from them.
That's good.
That's a good way to look at it.
Do that or not? Yeah.
I look at it too this way. That person probably, you're feeling a little bit of a loss right now because obviously there was a lot of stuff that they were good at. But I always look at it as an opportunity, especially if it was your first assistant, to learn. There's probably a few things you can look at. You wish they did differently. And so now you've got the ability to say, okay, do I want to change anything? Is there something I want to hire for differently this go round? And so I would just look at it as an opportunity. When I lost my right hand a couple of years ago, I thought, wow, he was really great. And he made my life really easy, but it gave me the opportunity to say, okay, now I got round two, what should that look like? And so I was able to upgrade in a big way, even though I had to go through the inconvenience of the interview process and the inconvenience of hiring and doing all that. And I do love Michele's advice, not to hide it. Again, I think what you'll find in all this stuff is that people appreciate the transparency, and most people aren't brave enough to do some of these things themselves, and they'll learn a lot from hearing it from you.
awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I do agree. I think the second time around, I'm just so much wiser as to where my holes are and what I really need. And it is actually very different than when I was looking for the first assistant. So I think it's a blessing in disguise.
Well, I'm interested to hear if anyone in the group has any hiring and assistant advice that they would be willing to jump on and share, especially if anyone has done it recently. Would love to hear if anyone in the group has any other opinion on the out of office, the changing your voicemail. What I love hearing about it is I never did that when I was doing on time. I just said, you know what, people will call me, I'll call it back when I get done. So I just love hearing a different perspective, because now I'm thinking, gosh, you know what, I probably should have done that when I originated. People probably would have appreciated that. And so, again, to me, that's the power of this group, is these new ideas, and we all get to share and learn from each other.
Yeah, so I love the fact that Jen, and I remember it, Jen came up with, be in demand, not on demand, and then Michele, how cool is it that you've adopted that, made it your own, and that is what makes, not only Insane Productivity great, we all get around the same language, but we all help each other play it forward. And I do think this is such an important topic. I mean, it's not only important to your success to be insanely productive, but it's really important to your ability to even go through the Insane Productivity program, because it's a couple extra hours a week of work, and that's just consuming the data, taking notes, putting some intentional time. That's not, it's even more time than that when you really get into the implementation of going through Insane Productivity. So I mean, I think this is a super important topic. As Todd said, does anyone else have advice, when it comes to creating boundaries or addressing the challenge that, one of our folks right now, Amanda, is going through, bringing on a new assistant? I'll let folks raise your hand. Michele, you mind giving another round? Any advice you have on the assistant, and then we'll see who else jumps in and contributes to the conversation at hand.
Sure. So, Amanda, I've been through 8 assistants. So, so I'm going to become a pro at it. I actually believe now, it's been 2 years now, and the team that I have right now has not left. I agree with Todd. To me, and it didn't feel like it at the moment, it is an opportunity for somebody else to come in that's going to work better with you. It doesn't mean it just means this person wasn't the right fit for you. And I know it's easier to say it than to feel it, and with what you're going through right now, because the first 2 weeks is just, you're overwhelmed. Sorry, my phone was ringing. So I would just tell you just to, really put one foot in front of the other and just look for the right person. I believe in slow to hire, quick to, rearrange, because you want to make sure that person is the right fit with all the training you have to do for them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, Amanda, any other questions before I put you back on mute? Anything else? Or do you feel like your questions have been answered?
I feel pretty good about it right now.
Okay, well, keep it coming. Your engagement in this group is critical. So when you have a success, something that you've learned from Insane Productivity that you've implemented, please share it. And if you have more questions, whether they're on this call or the next call, raise your hand, post them, or post them on Facebook. Sound good?
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. So Bliss Sawyer, Bliss, I have unmuted you. You posted some commentary in GoToMeeting control panel. Great job. You mind putting a little color around that, or are you unmuted?
Sure. Yeah. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, I just made the comment because it is hiring assistants. Goodness, that's just kind of, it's the answer, it's the perfect answer in an imperfect world. And so I don't know anyone that had 100% success on their first hire. So I'm on my 3rd hire of an assistant, and it's fabulous, and I love it. But one of the things I implemented from Insane Productivity after I went to the conference last October was to do team metrics. And so we went away for a day and a half, my processor and my assistant and I, and we did just a lot of business planning, but we also talked about team metrics and what that looked like, and discussed it together. So it wasn't just me saying, hey, here what, because I can be a little overpowering, and that's what most salespeople can be, right? But I wanted them to buy into this. And so we have a I do pretty much everything on Google Docs. We have a Google Docs spreadsheet where we track monthly different items. And we have some team items, and then we have some individual items. So, for example, as a team, we track loans purchased, of course. And then my metrics are, I have a goal to do 40 outbound unsolicited phone calls or text each week. And then we change it up sometimes. I'll make a goal maybe for how many lunches I want to have, how many credit pulls or pre-quals, that kind of thing. And then my processor, her metric is from the time she gets the file to underwriting is 15 days, and 3 or less prior to approval conditions. And then my production manager, my assistant, her goals are to increase social media numbers. And then one of the things that I've struggled with is letting go. So her goal is to not have me be involved in a file, which is a little hard to actually track that because it just is. But we kind of attach numbers to everything and then set a goal. So, for example, our tally for January was, I think, 62. That was our goal. We ended up kind of smashing it. We got like 74. What's our points tallied up to. And I know this is going to sound silly to some of you guys, but the girls will get it. Our a reward for that month was I had someone come to the office and we all bought Lip Sense, which is a really cool lipstick, right? It was just a fun thing. We did that for 45 minutes, tried on lipstick and laughed, and that was our reward. The month before, we actually had not met our goal, so we didn't do anything. So I'm just trying to change it up with different things. We might go bowling one month. We might go ziplining one month. I don't know. We're going to make it fun, and we're going to push ourselves to try to be better and to excel.
Love that response. That was huge value, Bliss. Hey, any chance you wouldn't mind just taking 5 minutes, after the call and just kind of summarizing your team metrics in our group in a Facebook post? I think that might be helpful for some folks.
Yes, I can do that at some point. I'll make a goal on my list to do that at some point today. I'll put that on the Facebook page. Good.
And then anybody that's listening in and you want to share what your team metrics are or your personal metrics, feel free to play that forward in comments. I think that was helpful. And by the way, Amanda just jumped in and said, love this whole thing, all good. Katie also jumped in, love that. That would be valuable. So great job for those of you that are engaging in the call. Again, the name of this call is Mastermind, which to me, when I do masterminds in person, it's a lot easier. I always say that, participation is a requirement, and it's a little harder to do in a virtual event, to require everybody to participate. So those of you that are participating with questions or feedback, you're definitely playing the mastermind game well. Todd, I'll throw it to you to either ask a question, provide some leadership, and then Michele, if you could be ready to drive a topic after Todd that you think would be helpful.
All right, perfect. So I think that I'm going to just jump in with the mastermind idea, and I'm going to randomly unmute somebody. So hopefully I won't get myself in trouble. And let me just warn you, whoever it is I randomly unmute, is that, again, it's not, you don't have to think you need to be brilliant. Really what it is one place you're having a challenge that you think the group could help with, one place that you're killing it, and really just any other takeaways from Insane Productivity that you may think would be helpful. Now, it's somebody I don't know who I'm going to unmute. I'm going to unmute Jason Kane on the phone only because Jason was the first person on today, so I knew he was really excited to be here. And so I'm going to unmute you, Jason. How are you doing, sir? Jason, are you there? That was a really great idea I had, but I'm going to give Jason one more sec to see if we can't get his technical difficulties done because he's in there. And then I will re-mute him. All right. Oh, wait, was that you coming on, Jason? Nope. See, that's the whole goal. That's how you guys know we're not really pre-planning this. So I'm just going to go right to the very bottom, and I'm going to unmute my good friend Troy Root, because Troy normally is here when I call on him and ready to rock and roll. How are you, Troy?
Good, Todd. How about you?
I'm great. So just so the group knows, you are someone who's going through this again, correct?
Correct.
All right. So as someone who's going through it again, who heard what you heard today, anything to add to anything that Bliss or Amanda or Michele has said so far?
I was thinking about this morning, like being in demand and on demand is huge. That's still something I'm still working on myself, even the second time around. Because every time you go through, going through this again, I'm picking up a lot of new things that I didn't catch last time. Because as we know, when he goes through this, he throws so much at us just to overload. It's almost like a sensory overload, and it's like every time you're picking up new nuggets, even a couple of things, even deeper nuggets than I even thought of on several things in regards to just even jam sessions, not letting the monkeys off the back and so forth, and several other things.
No, and I think that's huge, and I think that's what I've noticed now that I've been through it, almost double digits of every module. There's always something I missed, or I'm somewhere different in life this week, this month, this year than I was in the previous times that I did it, and so it just really sinks in differently. Have you made any particular one or two things that are like your go-to pieces that you're really focused on, be it jam sessions or morning routine or anything like that?
Morning routine is like, I'm getting better at that. I'm getting back into my reading habits in the morning and night. I've noticed at nighttime, really, once I finally got into that, it really does change your attitude even when you wake up, because it's the last thing on your brain, whatever it is, whether it's something motivational, just something just relaxing, just shutting the world down for a little bit is just huge, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things, especially this week.
I love hearing that. I recently was at a Master's Coach event, and Daniel Harkavy said, right, your morning starts the night before. And again, I've heard him say it before, but it just hit me somewhere different, probably because of these calls, and we've spent so much time talking about morning routine. So, I love hearing you say that you're reading something different.
Exactly. It's like, and so just because these calls, the weekly calls is what did it. Got me, really motivated me to focus on it.
No, I think that's huge. So, all right, well, I would love to hear you throw out a question maybe to the group, question to Dave, Michele, or I, as kind of a parting gift before I take you back off the spot.
I think it would be huge, which is one thing I'm still struggling with, is just not letting, like, interruptions. It's like I still let interruptions throughout the day, not so much with emails anymore, but just office interruptions with people knocking on the door, tapping on the window, and just letting it just roll off the back, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's like, what is a good recommendation just to train the office? How's that?
There you go. So I guess, I don't know if Dave or Michele, if you want to jump in on that, or I can certainly jump in and give a response. I'd love to see a hand go up from someone in the group that has a response as well.
Michele here.
All right, I'll go and jump. Go ahead, Michele.
Yeah, I can tell you what I did was I took from the Insane Productivity to try to figure out your dollar value, right? So I took, what do I want to make? So let's just say I want to make $1 million this year. I divided it by 2,000, and that came out with my hourly rate of $500. And it's a kind of a joke in my office now, but it works really well for me. I said, if what you're about to ask me isn't worth $500 an hour, go ask somebody else. So I know it sounds mean, but it really made them stop and think about, and it helped my team too, because we have a new assistant that rolled in, and my team is having problems delegating, and I said, is what you're doing worth, 500 or 150 or whatever per hour that you want to do, and if it's not, give it to the person that's working at $25 an hour. And it helped. And again, I made it a joke. I didn't make it mean, but we laugh about it, and I have much less interruptions than I did before.
No, I think that's key. And for me, I just told people, I just asked for permission, right? I mean, I said, I'd explained to them the why behind what I was doing. I said, it's not because I'm sitting in there and I'm on Facebook or doing things that I wouldn't want you guys to know I was doing. I said, this is really my time to help you guys grow. And I'd always done my on time out of the office, primarily because I was to escape those distractions. And so I initially started, I was always typically at a restaurant for breakfast and my brain was fresh. And I sat there and did my on time. But when I decided I was going to transition from production to coaching, I needed to basically double the amount of on time. And I just couldn't be away from the office while I was doing that. And so I just had to tell everyone, hey, although they didn't know I was doing it because I was going into coaching, I just said, hey, I've got systems that I owe you guys as a team. I had them understand that. And then I put up the do not disturb doing on time and then just stuck by it. I just, if someone tried to give a knock and, I'd give them the, the nice wave of, I'll come back, a little bit later, I'll come get you. And even had to train my business partner and my wife who worked in the office. My wife was typically the one who liked to break it, but eventually even she too came around and stopped. So I think that's the part of it is just if they can understand why or use something like what Michele, but I think you would be set. Great question.
Yeah, I think
all right, Troy.
Off of that real quick, Todd, he was talking about the airplane in one of the modules in regards to just shutting it down and just being isolated. One thing is, like you said, you can't get out of the office and stuff, but one of the other things that did start is just, I leave the office now 2-3 times a week and just go up to the lake and work for about an hour. And it's just refreshing because you do not get any interruptions. And you don't realize how much you get when you're with that uninterrupted time.
Yeah, it's a little crazy with just how accessible we are. It's interesting because I've got a client who's not in the mortgage business, but he lives in a part of Oregon and he has a mobile service, a mobile veterinarian service. And so one of his biggest challenges is the lack of communication because the internet and cell phone service isn't in all the areas where he works. And I just kind of chuckled the first time he told me that because I said, gosh, in the mortgage industry, if we could all be in areas where there was no cell service, although it would freak us out for a while, we'd actually probably enjoy it every once in a while too. All right, Mr. Root, thank you very much. I'm going to hand it over to Dave and Michele.
All right, well, I'm going to just, a little bit of admin stuff. One, while we were talking, I pulled up the 12 reminders document. So just want to remind anyone that's new that the document exists. I also put a link to where it is within our support page in the Facebook group. So anybody that hasn't printed that out, isn't aware of it, we do recommend, for those of you that are just going through the program for the first time, this was something that the founding group, when we went through it, we said, hey, there's just certain principles we don't want to forget. We want to have this little, printable reminder. So I wanted to shout out that it's there. If you haven't downloaded it, download it and keep it on hand. Also, just the whole concept of Mastermind reminded me that my Tuesday interview next Tuesday at 9 o'clock Pacific is with Rick Shear, who did a little over 100 million last year, and he changed lenders. So, he went through a big change and still pulled off a $100 million year out of Boston. We're going to focus that interview on one of his best strategies, which is doing Realtor Mastermind events. So Rick has a number of different masterminds with realtor groups that he hosts, conducts, and considers to be one of the cornerstones to his business model. So I'm going to be interviewing him for an hour on how he does Realtor Mastermind events. So I thought that was on topic, and I would share and remind you guys that next Tuesday his interview is going to be on that topic. Michele, with that, I'm going to hand it off to you to go through a topic, and then I want to give Nicole Francis a little warning that I'm going to call on you before this call is out, so be ready with a question or a topic. And remember, everybody, that you can raise your hand and ask a question or bring up a topic. So, Michele, what do you think would be a good topic to discuss?
I'm going to keep on this distraction for a second because it is probably my #1 challenge because I have a need to want to help people. It's just my human nature. It's who I am. It's my word. It's, I want to help people. And it is what I have been struggling with over the last month because I have gotten off task. So I want everybody to know that I have the same challenges that you have. And it's great that you're going to call on Nicole, because one of the things I was able to do was, with my coach's help, is I want to help everybody, right? That's just what I want to do. It keeps my humanity and my ego in check, and I just want to always bring value to somebody. And I like to bring value one-on-one. It's kind of like I don't mind donating to the Red Cross, but I'd rather give blood to a person because then I feel like I've affected change for that one person. So I was able to lead on our off day, we scheduled a seminar, and there were 11 of us that came in, and we masterminded on the Zillow techniques and some of the CRM techniques I had, and it rolled out to be something so much better. And that is what I had to do. I had to schedule the time to say, okay, I've got 3 hours that I can give every week to help people. The rest of it has to be to help grow my team. And Nicole was part of it. And I would encourage anybody, I think all of us like to give back. I think that's part of our nature as human beings. I would encourage everybody to really look at your time. And when I make the joke about your hourly rate, I had to do that to kind of slam something into my head, because I have to be hit by a 2x4 sometimes for me to affect change to myself. So I would love to hear what everybody else is doing to kind of make their distractions go away or limit their distractions. Either whether it be like Todd said, you get out of the office for a while and that's how you started, or you put the sign up. That is huge, because that's where we do our best work when we're not distracted.
So let's do this. I'm going to go rapid fire and just unmute people and call on people. And then Todd, you be ready to be the anchor on this one. And then Nicole Francis, I'm going to tee you up for a question. So rapid fire, Bliss Sawyer, what do you do to avoid distractions?
You know what, I have to almost put my phone in a drawer, because otherwise I'll be looking at it, and I just have to make a conscious effort. And I'm actually doing more of the Pomodoro technique right now, because the 90 minutes just didn't work for me. So that's 25 minutes on, take a break, 25 minutes on, take a break, 25 minutes. You do that for basically 2 hours and then take a longer break. And I have a master list of what I'm going to work on. And, I don't follow it religiously, but that works really well for me. And I think I guess it would be a little bit of ADD and all of that. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
All right, and thank you for that quick rapid fire. I think you did that in a minute or less. By the way, folks, I'm going to look for a post on the Pomodoro technique. Brian Johnson, a guy who's someone that I follow, and did a 5 or 10 minute video on the Pomodoro technique. So I will post that before the day is out, just because it's another way. It's another method of doing jam sessions. Bobby Moody, rapid fire. How are you avoiding distractions?
Dave, did you call on me, because I did not hear my name?
I did. I just called on you to ask if have you been listening to the conversation about what are you doing to avoid distractions? I
am. It's just that I did not hear my name at all. So, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm way off kilter with everything that I've worked on. I do the Miracle Morning in the morning. I just have had a really rough couple of weeks. So, if you want to get a good example of somebody who really worked hard on staying on task and doing all the right things, and then I completely fell off of, I'm telling you, everything. So I'm kind of in a restart mode again of trying to get myself structured, recalibrated. I've just all my disciplines are out the door.
Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your transparency. I can tell you, everybody on this call, feels you. We're either there or we're not. I mean, I'm actually kind of on it right now for the past couple of weeks, but hey, I have been there. So I just hope that the conversation we're having will inspire you to get on it and focus. So I'm going to move on. If you do have a question or comment, bring it, and super appreciate the transparency, Bobby. Love it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. David Gunning, rapid fire. And by the way, you can say pass. I'll give you guys the option, or be transparent. Tell us you're not a great example, but I'm going to give everybody on this call right now, well, not everybody, I'm going to, for another 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to rapid fire. So David Gunning, anything you're doing that's helping you stay on task and not get distracted? You're unmuted.
Yeah, two things. One is really obvious, but I've been going offline on my computer, just switching it to offline, which I had never done before. So it seemed like such an obvious thing, but it's great for me because I like and can be very productive working on my computer, but as soon as a new email comes in, I get distracted. So I just switch it to the offline. That way I'm not interrupted, and it helps me do my 90-minute segments.
You know, that is such an awesome reminder, my friend. I have done that before, but I think it's been over a year since I've done that intentionally. You know, the only time I'm offline on my computer is when I don't have internet. I can tell you right now, I am going to put that into action this weekend, brother. That's a great one.
Yeah, and then the other thing is when I do my to-do list every morning, I go over it a second time to think of everything I could possibly delegate. So each day I try to delegate at least 2 things that I would normally do myself, and that's been super helpful. I've been doing that for about 2 weeks, and it's been amazing because in the past I would just assume, hey, I'm the best person to do this, but I've been sort of making it my business to be great at delegating, and that's my challenge, 2 a day.
Well, a great contribution just now. By the way, what module are you on, David?
I'm in the middle of 5.
All right, man. Well, raise your hand anytime, bring a question, and you just contributed some great ideas for everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
Katie Pastor, what's up? What are you doing to stay undistracted or avoid interruptions?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. So I'm going to tell you I'm not the best, which is one of the reasons why I'm part of this group, because I'm really hoping that you guys can give me some suggestions on how I can get better at this. I will agree the distractions are a big distraction. No pun intended, but oh my gosh, just the interruptions of people and email and text and calls, and it's easy for your day to get thrown off. So one thing that I've started implementing, really I started this morning just simply with this call, is having my email off. So I'm not even having my email open, so I'm not distracted by the constant emails that are coming in and the need to the feeling that I need to jump on that right away. So that is completely shut off, and I'm going to be doing that routinely throughout the day just so I can stay on task.
Well, that's awesome, Katie, and Darren's going to talk a lot about that. How to kind of jump in and out of messages and messaging and alerts, and it is a super key component to Insane Productivity. So thanks for sharing, Katie.
Good. Thank you.
All right. In spirit of time and also get to other topics, if you wanted to share what you're doing and I didn't call on you, raise your hand and we'll get to you. But I do want to, I have told Nicole a couple times, I'm going to call on her. Nicole, why don't we start with what are you doing to be insanely productive, and then I would love to know anything that comes to mind as the most valuable thing you've got from Insane Productivity so far. But let's just start with what are you doing to avoid interruptions.
So I mean, we heard, so what am I doing to avoid distractions? I'm really trying to stick as closely as I can to my calendar. So that means, like, if I've got a call scheduled at 8 and then this at 9, like, I'm not checking email from that time. So then I'm giving myself, a half hour or so to jump back in and check email, because I feel like that's my nemesis. But to really avoid distractions, I'm forwarding my phone to my production partner so she can take those calls. And then if she needs a little downtime, she'll tell me, okay, go ahead. And she'll tell me if I've got she'll text me if I've got an important call. But just not having that feeling of being fired on all the time helps create a space to where you can really focus and get some work done, or really be in that meeting and really be present. So that's what I'm doing to avoid distractions. And then to be insanely productive, I think we heard Michele Town
Did I lose Nicole, or is it just me, or did other people not hear her also? Or excuse me,
I think
Nicole.
she's gone.
Hey, Nicole, we can't hear you, FYI. All right, Nicole, I'm going to put you back on mute. If you come back online, or you can hear me, raise your hand in a minute. We'll try to bring you back in, because you were getting ready to bring down some good stuff, I could tell. Hey, Coach Todd, knowing we just kind of went through this rapid fire, two, I know you got a lot of leadership and a lot of expertise around this topic. Why don't you kind of put a bookend on it?
All right, I'll do my best. I think all you guys just crushed it. I think that was huge. It was funny because, as I was walking through, I think I've tried and done a lot of little stuff. For me, really, I can say that when I was most productive and I was able to really avoid the distractions is when my why was as big as humanly possible. And there were so many times in between where, I just drifted and I wasn't killing it and wasn't doing it. I was listening to a Gary Vee podcast recently, and he's got a sign up in his little room now that people don't like it because it says ideas aren't, SHIT. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this call or not, probably. And he says he's got a lot of feedback because people don't like it. And he said, well, the problem is no one knows what the rest of the sign's supposed to say without execution. And so for me, it was always when I was drifting and I realized I wasn't executing is when my frustration level would get to the point where all of a sudden I had to reevaluate, okay, what really is important to me? What's on my life plan? What's on my business vision that I'm not doing? And making sure it was big enough, because I used to always joke that I was the king of 80%. I had so many projects that were started that were 80% done. And then it was years and years ago when Todd Duncan used to do his interview series with loan officers, and I had heard a interview with Rosemary David, who's the head of single family lending at Home Street, and Rosemary's a dear friend and just an amazing leader. But on that interview, she said, when Todd asked her, what makes you the difference, what makes the difference in you and all the other loan officers out there, and she said, well, most loan officers stop at 90%, and I took it all the way. And I was always inspired by that, and execution was always one of those things that was just pushing my why. And then when I was really clear on my why, and I was really super focused on trying to grow whatever it was that I was focused on at that time, then it was really easy for me to deploy, whatever strategy here it was. And sometimes the strategy changed, right? Like I said, I started hiding originally so that no one would find me and have distractions. I did the piece where I would go inside and, leave my cell phone in the car, zip it in my backpack. I tried just about everything, but I knew when I was crystal clear on what I wanted to do, it happened. And I love what Nicole was saying when she was mentioning her calendar. And I would say for me, that was sort of the other piece, is that I always brought myself back. If it was on my calendar, I told anyone. If it got to my calendar, it got done. And so people always learn when there was something that needed to be executed, if they added it to my calendar or made me add it there, that it was going to happen. And so that was one of my other commitments I made to the people around me when they were counting on me to get something done. And so I know we got the Mortgage Coach Why worksheet, so it's probably a good plug for that, Dave, if you want to kind of fill people in who may not be familiar with it.
I will pull that up as we're going through it. And Michele, anything you want to add on to that?
Well, I always learn something in these mastermind groups, and so I'm going to take Nicole's. I'm going to start forwarding my phone to my partner. I feel sorry for him. He's so busy right now, but that's a great thing to do when my challenge is I don't take any personal time. If you ask anybody and they would describe me, their word is I'm a workaholic. They go, I don't know how you do what you do because you're always working. And that is my coach's number one focus on me, is to, and I don't want to say balance, I just want to say bring more personal stuff in instead of always working. So I am going to forward my phone during my I have certain hours that are on my calendar, and my team has my calendar. It says, you cannot move this appointment, period, and it's in red. I will not take any appointments during that time, and that's my time to do. If I just want to sit in front of TV and watch TV, that's what I do, or I go out and ride my horses, or throw the ball to the dogs, or go out to lunch with a friend. Those are the times that I can do it. I live on my calendar. I live on it.
Love that. Also, I love that.
I love that Michele has roosters crowing in the background of her house.
Right? How cool is that?
I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry.
No, I think it's the best. I think it's the best. I do love that idea of forwarding your phone. It's just kind of funny because I always sort of forget that, right? Because people ask me now, well, how come your clients aren't bugging you and realtors aren't bugging you about loans anymore? And I forgot. It's just because the phone number that I've had forever, it forwards to Levi, the 23-year-old kid who I trained to take over my pipeline of business. And so yeah, when you forward your phone, that's just such a great opportunity too. And it almost goes back to that first question that we talked about with Amanda, where if you're worried about what you're going to do during that time, if people feel like you need to be immediately available, maybe there's somebody else. Even if you don't have a team member, maybe you've got someone else in the office, another friend who's an originator, a processor, someone else who may play that role for you and take those calls.
Yeah, and then folks, just from an admin perspective, I did just add the why worksheet to our Facebook page. So for anybody that's new and has not gone through this, Darren in the program, he talks about your why, and then again, the founding group, we upgraded that process so that you had, what is your why, what is your mortgage why, and what is your mortgage coach why, so that you really get clear on, who are you as a mortgage professional, who are you, everybody's on this. This is not just Darren Hardy. This is Darren Hardy plus mortgage coach. And, Darren believes in, small changes in debt make a life-changing difference in folks' wealth and success. So he's just, well, I don't know if he's more passionate than we are, but he's passionate about you guys delivering a total cost analysis to every family. And so, getting clear on why are you a mortgage coach? Why are you giving every family a total cost analysis? Yeah, you're doing it because it's a competitive advantage. You get more referrals, you get a better conversion rate. But if you can make that why go even beyond just what's in it for you, and it really becomes something that you feel like a responsibility to the family to help them really make a better decision, help them really build wealth with real estate. First of all, you will be more successful, and the business just gets more fun. It's just more fun when your why is deeper and more defined. So Todd, thanks for that shout out, and just know everybody, I did post that in the Facebook page. So FYI on that. Todd, we're at about 12 minutes. First of all, Michele, is there anything else you think, as we're in this kind of final 12 minutes of the call, is there a question or something you want to make sure we cover in today's call?
I definitely I'm going to loop in Mortgage Coach a little bit here because I made a bunch of changes, and I've said this on this mastermind group before, but I made a lot of changes on driving people to the total cost analysis or the rent versus own. And I have to tell you, the responses that I'm getting, I was actually surprised, and I'm sorry, Dave, I'm just going to admit this. I was so super surprised. I have had 100% open ratio on my total cost analysis and rent versus own from the clients. And the feedback that I'm getting from them, I was worried it was going to be over the head for some of the first-time home buyers, but they actually like it, and some of these people are taking this to their CPA, which I thought was incredible. And so it just cemented even more why I use the Mortgage Coach, but it was, and that's my why. I do it for the competitive advantage as well. I also do it for ease of explaining to a move-up buyer or first-time home buyer why buying now is so important. And I would encourage everybody, if you're not doing it, to really just take the 5 minutes, and it might be 15 or 20 the first time you do it, to really do this because it's an incredible tool and it's an incredible help to the client.
Thank you, Michele. Obviously, we believe in that with a lot of passion. So, Todd, knowing we're in the last 10 minutes of the call, where would you like to take it, and what do you want to make sure we cover? And then reminder to everybody on the call, if you do have a question, you can either raise your hand or post it in our questions area.
Well, I was trying to figure out if Nicole Francis is back on, since she seemed to have a lot of fans there. Maybe we could bring her on to finish up her thought. So I don't know if you want to try to unmute her, Dave, and see if we can't let her finish up.
Yeah. Hey, Michele, we unmuted you again. We lost you earlier. I don't know. Are you unmuted? All right, Michele, we can't hear you. FYI. Going once, going twice. So yeah, it looks like she might be having some signal issue. I have put her back on mute.
I was hoping we would find a brave soul to help us round out the next few minutes so that we didn't do all of the talking. What I would like to throw out there, and I'm not throwing it out there because I want to actually, I'm going to throw it out there now so we can maybe get any other topics that people want to talk about. But my proposal is not for the last 9 minutes of this call. My proposal is for next week's call. I really love what Dave Gunning said, that delegation is one of his key things that he's focused on, and he's working on delegating at least 2 things a day. So hopefully Dave can come back on next week and help us, be a contributor in that part. But I think that would be a great topic to start with next week. I don't know that it'll take the whole time. It certainly could, but I would love to get feedback from you guys about any other topics like that we could make sure to throw out there ahead of time, because I just know with the Blisses of the world and Michele and many of you who are doing this, that we can just get a great conversation going. Maybe if we give you guys a little bit more warning. What do you think, Dave?
I love it. And if you wouldn't mind, Todd, before the day is out, putting a post in our Facebook group, just teeing up the topic. And everyone, I've said it, but I'll keep saying it. The more you engage, whether it's ask a question, share a story, tell a strategy that you're implementing. It's either a reminder or it's a completely new idea for some of us. So the more engagement, the better. This is a mastermind, and the more participation is what makes it a great call. Love it, Todd. All right. Well, we are in the last 7 minutes, kind of going once, going twice on anyone that wants to raise their hand or post a question. And Todd, I'm just going to, I've already given call it the Mortgage Coach reminders and call it the Mortgage Coach value. We gave you the why worksheet. We reminded you about the 12 reminders. To me, as a mortgage coach, if you want to take your leadership and how you're using Mortgage Coach to the next level, next Tuesday's call with Rick will be awesome. If you have a conflict and you can't listen to it at 9 o'clock, it is recorded and posted. Just like this Tuesday, I interviewed Leif Babin, one of the authors of Extreme Ownership. Last year I interviewed Jocko Willink, and that call was awesome. So a lot of good information from a leadership perspective. And as you can see, I did post the recording if you missed it, and you like that book or you want to learn more about that book, check it out. So Todd, I'll let you close it out in the last 6 minutes, and Michele, if you want to jump in with something, I'll leave that between you and Todd to fight for the last 6 minutes of time.
All right. Well, before I don't want to take the whole 6 minutes. Anything you want to close with, Michele, or you want to hold it all for next week?
I just want to remind everybody that we are a big community. This last week I was asked to cross call with Danny, which was, I was so happy because I was able to email him and say, hey, Danny, it's your Insane Productivity partner, Michele. And this community is extremely small, and we are all here to help. And I'm going to say this every time: there is no question that is dumb, because I promise you, one of us has the same question. We're just afraid to raise our hand. So please, if you don't feel comfortable raising your hand, put something in Facebook post so we can talk about a topic that's really going to help you and impact your life and your business.
So, hey, Todd, I do want to say one more thing, because that was so cool. It made me so happy. So, here is a top producer, one of the absolute best mortgage professional who's RPM, who is networking, become friends with. It's collaborating with Danny, you know, one of the top producers for Caliber. So it's super cool when, you know, people that are all striving for the same thing are communicating outside of this group. And Michele, that just, first of all, I know it made Todd happy, it made me happy, and hopefully it will encourage others on this call to connect with each other and help each other, because it is a community that we're building here. That's why Todd and I are doing this. So that was awesome.
Well, and I love it too, and you know, I think I mentioned maybe before or not, or maybe at least I told you, Dave, but I was in Del Mar, and so, you know, after one of these calls, I mean, Danny and I made plans to connect. I had dinner with him and another buddy. I'd flown in from Alaska, and it was just made me think of it because I just have a thank you card here on the desk, and made me realize I'm really terrible at handwritten notes when I got one from him thanking me. So that was really cool, and I think there's a huge power in this community, and so, you know, certainly that's the encouragement of getting involved, because certainly the way to connect with other people is to reach out and give back in any way that you can. I've also found that, you know, I've connected with lots of you offline. I'm sure Michelle's connected with people offline as well. I mean, think about the power of connection. Ironically, Danny and I were given another one of his Caliber buddies who's in my Master's Coach group a hard time because he hasn't embraced Mortgage Coach. So he finally reached out to me and said, all right, who do I need to talk to there? So I connected him with Dave, and it sounds like the two of them had a good chat. So I would just think about the community, who you can connect with in this community, because it is such a powerful group. And I love this group in particular. I continue to enjoy doing what I'm doing in this group with all of you. And so I would just be thinking about this call today, right? What is it that was your biggest, 1, 2, or 3 takeaways that you can implement? Is it the idea of, recording a voicemail that says I'm unavailable from 10 to 11 today? Is it the, instead of doing a 90-minute jam session, doing the, whatever that thing was called, it's not the Pomodoro, but I know it had some name like that Bliss does, which is great. The for those of us with short attention spans, I mean, I think that's great. I fall in that category oftentimes as well. And so I would just take a minute after you get off this call and download, okay, what is it that I really took away that I should implement? Because a lot of those things are super simple, right? It's not that difficult the next time you get on to do a jam session to turn off the Wi-Fi on your computer. I've never done it, but I think, gosh, you know what, I probably should. Even though I've turned off all the notifications, I'm still that dork who still goes back to see if I got an email while I'm in the middle of something, just because sometimes I can't fight that distraction. And so I would just consider to do all of those things. I always just think it's a time where, here we are, we're wrapping up February, right? We're already 2 months into 2017, and I really believe what's done in this first quarter of 2017 for you in your business is really going to set the tone for the rest of the year. I've got clients all over the country, and it's really crazy. The majority of them who were heavily refi last year, who are super focused on some of these strategies this year, are already crushing it. And I don't think that most of them have this productivity thing down, right? They're all struggling with it. A couple of them are insane productivity. Most of them aren't. And the ones who are in insane productivity have taken on a different life, so to speak. I mean, I see them growing faster than everyone else. So think about these ideas and what we're learning here, and figure out how you can implement them, in your world to make them work. I would continue to encourage you guys to throw stuff into the Facebook page. I loved it that Amanda did that, because it was a great place for us to start today. The funny thing is Dave and I oftentimes get on this call beforehand and are like, all right, what's on your heart today? And, yeah, there's sometimes where I've got something that I'm definitely passionate about and want to talk to you guys about. But like I say, I always think the best calls are the ones where we do those things. I love the rapid fire thing that you did, Dave, and I hope that we can definitely bring more of that back. And so, really from that perspective, I'm going to kind of call it a wrap. I'll throw up in there about delegation, and my goal is going to be for you guys to be thinking about struggles you have with delegation, right? Questions you have, because some of you are like, gosh, I got nothing to add there. Well, actually, what you have to add there is your struggles. Add your questions, add where you failed at it, or where you need some input from this group. And then I definitely know a lot of you here are masters at delegation, and look forward to hearing you guys learn. I would say this, I don't necessarily ever really tell you guys that I'm qualified to be on this call. I'm always humbled that Dave lets me be on there. But I did get a smile this morning when I did get a text from Darren with someone clapping their hands, and it said, "See, you're not such a dumbass after all." So, for whatever it's worth, I did get that endorsement from Darren this morning, and I'm really excited that I can share that with you guys and be on this call. So Dave, anything else you want to add before we pull the plug here at the end of the hour?
30 seconds. By the way, I am going to push a poll because Todd and I always want to know whether we delivered. Oh, Todd, and now Michele is on the leadership team in the back end here. We want to know whether we delivered value. Did we deliver awesome value? Did you get a couple takeaways? And if we missed it, let us know. We missed it and tell us what we could do better, because we come on here to bring leadership, to crush it, and we always want to get better. So answer the survey question, and constructive feedback is always welcome. So 2 things. One, if you know someone that's part of this program that wasn't on this call, remind them how great it is. Remember that it is recorded. We will post the recording in the Facebook group, so they can still listen to the recording. And by the way, if there was something that you want to listen to again, you can listen to it. So one ask to everybody is to play it forward with people that you know that are part of Insane Productivity that didn't join. Tell them to get in here. This is, the more people we have, the more value it is. And then also, guys, it's Darren Hardy's birthday on Sunday. So FYI, maybe wish Darren a happy birthday in our group. Obviously, Todd and I are personal friends with him, so we could text him back and forth, but, heads up. He did release in Darren Daily today saying it's his birthday today. So, if you wish him his birthday today, that's cool. But his birthday is actually Sunday. So, I know I appreciate Darren for all the value he's brought to my professional career, and he really does love to hear it. And lastly, if you haven't signed up for Darren Daily, I put a link in that this morning. So, here's a link that you can sign up for the Darren Daily if you don't already have that program, or if you don't already have it set up. So we're 2 minutes over. Have a great day. Thanks for all the feedback and contributions. And Michele and Todd, super grateful for your leadership on these calls.
All right, my pleasure, guys. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.